okay, silly. This is might be a silly topic, which I hate, but that's not even that good of a topic. Yeah, I actually was going to ask you this question. This is my inappropriate question that's going on our Patreon, but it's not really that inappropriate, but it was just something I was thinking of. And I was like, sometimes I, like nothing sounds interesting to me. Do you ever have those days?
Yeah, fairly, actually, far too often.
Where you're just like, I don't want to, I am normally a pretty happy person. I do battle depression, and I've tried to explain to people those are two different things, right?
Yeah.
Depression is different than just, basic positive outlook in some areas. So I'm pretty happy, but then some days I'm just like, is it because I'm old? Am I getting this cranky? Why? I'm like, now Delilah, we call it resting bitch face. Delilah has constant resting bitch face. She's an 18-year-old cat, which is like probably 100 something, right? In people years. So I'm gonna
Right.
give it to her. I'm only 50 something. And I'm like, could you get away from me? Stop talking. I'm like, there are moments now where I'm actually thinking, please stop talking to me. I don't want to talk to you. And that's not like me.
Yeah. But you feel like that with other
Yeah.
people.
Like I kind of am getting a lot of it is I do blame the T word for a lot of, um, my reaction to people because he created this whole, I don't know that he created the group of people, but he gave them validity and power to speak out and be bad, right? And
So those people you don't want to talk to
now we're stuck with them. I can barely tolerate looking at them.
at T word supporters.
Yeah,
I get it.
I will. And if I want to continue to live the life that I say or be the person I say I am, one of the things that I've struggled with, and I mean this is what fascinates me, is I have noticed that I often think the very thing I don't want to think immediately. And that's typically about people. So like, oh, look at that guy. He's probably a hood, right? Like right off the bat. Like first thing I think. And then I say, who the fuck are you? Right? Like why are you making this quick judgment? Could be the nicest person in the world you've ever met, could be interesting, could be a hood. But that he's still human, right? He still deserves all the rights that humans deserve. And I
Hmm.
know these things. It's obvious to me. It is truly how I feel. Like
Hmm.
once I get over the initial stupidness of my thought process. And I'm starting to drive myself crazy with why does that the first place I go? Like, why do I initially I'm like, I'm irritated, I'm angry, I'm pissed off, I'm cranky, I'm any of those things. And none of those things I think are who I really am. And yet it's the first place I go.
Yeah, because you live in Vegas.
Is that why?
Yeah.
I have to admit, the tourists do kind of send me over the edge sometimes.
Well, between the tourists and the heat.
Oh, so you think it's heat related?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I swear I read years ago that there are like more crimes in the summer.
yeah.
And I think I mean, more people die of like heat related illnesses or heat than they do cold.
Yeah,
Like heat has a tremendous, horrific effect on people.
it does. And it makes I did read that. I read a say this was a long time ago. And I remember thinking, well, that's so hard to believe because when it gets hot, I move less, right? I don't move more. But I guess people are more angry and do more aggressive crimes the hotter it
Yeah,
is.
like if they're outside, um, more people get in groups together. Because I do think in the winter, a lot of the time people are more indoors. So you're like closer, you're like more with friends, family,
Okay.
versus outside, you're like more exposed.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. And plus, just what he does to us.
Yeah,
Like,
I think he does do things.
yeah, I mean, the last time I was in Phoenix, I remember just, like even this morning, I went for a 2 mile run here and I don't bring water with me and I'm okay. Like, Phoenix, I went for a walk. I was literally just going to go for a walk around the block, and this was
Yeah.
in around Memorial Weekend, so it wasn't even quite 100 yet. And literally, I had to call my mom like halfway through, and I was like, "You got to come get me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass out. Like I'm literally gonna pass out."
Well, don't do that. Right now, you know.
But it's just, I mean, what it can do to you very quickly. I think there's no way it doesn't impact other areas of your brain or your decision making or
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. You know what's interesting? And here's a fine example of what I am talking about right here. I mean, if you know me, you know how this is like such a foreign thought to me, and yet it was my first thought. So we have cooling stations here
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's 110 degrees or higher, right? And that is hot. So we have cooling stations for homeless or unhoused people. And they were playing all the news yeah, day before yesterday, Friday. They were at one of the cooling stations and the homeless community was complaining because it wasn't cool enough. And I was like, you motherfuckers, right? Fuck you. And then I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute. Why? I mean, like, why am I angry about that? Right? I mean, like, it's such a silly thing to get upset about. And I'm like, so I mean, like, I feel that that's something that like a T word supporter would say, right? Because they're homeless, they deserve to be hot, right? Who cares if they're hot?
It's a
And I'm
slippery
like,
slope.
and I don't believe that. I was like, no, no, I don't want them to be hot. It's hot out there. But
It's
I
hot as
just, it
fuck.
was,
It's not even just hot, it's hot as fuck. Like
yeah.
it is, that is just oppressive heat. Now, I asked Chat GPT how heat can impact people's moods.
Uh-huh.
And number one is irritability and aggression.
Oh,
High temperatures can lead to increased irritability and aggression in some individuals. This phenomenon is often referred to as heat aggression
oh
or
my,
the heat aggression hypothesis.
I don't want it.
When people are physically uncomfortable due to excessive heat, they may become more easily annoyed or frustrated, leading to a higher likelihood of conflicts and arguments.
I don't want it. That's good to know. It's
Mhm.
great to know. I mean, yeah, part of my issue is like I beat myself up because I'm reacting this way. Now, I will tell you this. The upside is I immediately recognize it, right? Like I'll say it and then I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like I noticed that it's happening, but it was starting to get to me like mentally why I kept going there first. Like who is like what is happening to me where this is starting and it's not like me. At least I didn't think it was like me. And I'm like it and just I think heat affects you differently the older you get, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
of course. It has to, like age, how, like what shape you're in,
Which I'm in terrible shape.
hormones. Like there are so many variables that are
Yeah,
gonna
so everything is going against me right now, is what you're telling everything. Like the heat, my fatness, my old age, my hormones. Fuck, man. The fact that I'm Italian.
just have a drink, just have a cocktail.
You know what? I will tell you this. I still don't get drunk, as you know, like because I want to do a lot of things with my day. I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have noticed I have said a little more often, let's just go get a drink. let's go get it. Now my friends gave me for my birthday. So every once in a while we go over to Champagne's, which is a
Oh,
bar.
your birthday's not for, it's in 2 days, right?
Yeah, 2 days, but I'm gonna be in Chicago. I won't be here.
Okay. Oh my, I thought I forgot your birthday. I was like, no, I know, no. Okay.
You are allowed to forget my birthday. I'm willing to forget it too, but I'm just saying. So, so I had my dinner with the Feed Your Soul dinner was last night. I do them once a month, and people brought me birthday presents. One of them was a Pittsburgh Steelers headband. I was very excited about that one. But Kim and Joey brought me the habanero mango vodka because when Kim and I go to
This is really good. Somebody
so
else just mentioned it the other day, like
do it,
just recently.
and we mix it with lemonade. So we go to Champagne's, which has been legendary since 1966. Like me, that's because that's their claim to fame is legendary since 1966, and I'm like, yeah, me too. So, so that he made them there, and so we love them. And I drink two because we walk there. So I can do two. If we drove there, I could only do one. But now I have a supply in my house and I will be drinking that tonight.
I love that. It's so weird. I cannot drink anymore.
Well, you said you may not.
I just can't. Like my body literally just rejects alcohol now.
Are you taking the drugs that help you reject alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you made a decision.
No, I mean, well, let me back up. I am taking a drug. It is not intentionally to suppress, do anything related to alcohol. It just happens to, like, it's just like a side effect.
Okay.
Which I'm like, fine. I mean, it saves me a ton of money and
yeah,
I'm way more productive. But yeah, I've tried, like, I thought it was just wine. So then I went to beer. Then I tried mixed drinks, but it doesn't matter.
So no alcohol for you. See, yeah, no, I'm not there. But I mean, I don't get drunk. I don't drink to excess. I'm such a lightweight that I don't drink that much at all. So, but it is what it is. Anyways, it's good to know. So, anger, irritability is number one. Is what's number two? Just out of curiosity.
Well, number one is irritability and aggression.
Right.
Number two is fatigue and lethargy, being lethargic.
Uh-huh.
Number three is sleep disturbances.
Hmm.
Number four is anxiety and restlessness.
Mm.
Number five is decreased concentration and cognitive function.
And the whole country is heating up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's even my sister, it's funny because, I think that I always have to be careful because when I always say, well, how hot is it to people? And they always are like, well, it's not as hot as it is in Vegas. I'm like, I get that. That's not what I'm asking. I feel bad about it. I'm like, I'm not judging. I get that 90 degrees in Seattle is like 120 degrees in Las Vegas.
So this is really funny. Was it last week or the week before? I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Phoenix. And it's funny because he moved there after I left. Like we both met here in New York. And he moved back to Arizona. And we were talking like a week or two ago. And he was like, oh my God, this heat is just so bad. It is so impacting. And I was like, I get it. I grew up there. I know it's awful. Like, that's why growing up as a kid, I hated it because summers were kind of like winter. Like we couldn't go out and ride our bikes.
Right.
I mean, we could, but it was awful because it was so hot. Like you just burn.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would do things at night in order to supplement, right? Like, but it was interesting because I said to him, yep, and it's probably not going to get better because I mean, climate change is just a part. This guy went off like, why does everyone have to mention climate change? Just because it's hot doesn't mean blah, blah, blah. I mean, just went. And I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, because that's why. Like,
I bet if you compared the average temperature in 1984 compared to 2014, I bet it's a significant increase.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Phoenix has had a number of record days, consecutive 110 or higher days. If you're hitting that record, then obviously it's heating up. Not to mention, if you look at the map of the United States, and I don't understand, you know what? If I said the only way to control the heat is to pray to my God, I could understand why people would be upset, right? Because that's dictating a philosophy that is like very narrow and religious. All I'm saying is we're heating the world up, people. I mean, like, I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what car you drive. It's not only people with Volkswagens, right? We're just saying we're heating the world up, people. Let's all get together and try and control this. I don't understand why it's so divisive. Why is it
Well,
so divisive?
I get why it's so decisive on a macro scale, right? When you look at industrialized nations like the United States, Canada, most of Europe, we've been able to build, and some would argue that the reason our GDP and our economies are so strong is because of oil. We have air conditioning, we were able to build cars, manufacturing, all of that built the middle class, which was a result of fossil fuels. So now if you are an emerging country and all of a sudden the world is like, nope, you can't do that, you're basically telling that country you cannot build your own economy. You using the tactics that all these other countries did that are proven to do it. So I do think that where it gets tricky is, say, the G8 or the countries that are industrialized who have GDPs over a certain amount need to come together and figure out ways to help support these emerging economies so that they're not dependent on fossil fuels, but still giving them the technology and the ability to continue at the growth rate that they are.
Right. Well, we're able to, I mean, I'm not an expert on this, so I could be speaking out of my backside at this moment, but we're in a place as leading countries, let's just say America, Canada, Europe, to come up with alternatives. And we've come up with many alternatives. So why don't we commit to to instituting the alternatives and then helping these other countries institute those alternatives as
Yeah,
well?
but I mean, we know why. You have OPEC, you have lobbyists that
Yes,
are
but then
very
again, so now
strong
we're back to
corporate.
just greed. That's it. There's no other reason
Huh,
than greed.
100%.
And that's where I get irritable and aggressive. What are my two options for number one on Chat GPT? Irritable and aggressive, right? Yes.
Mhm.
That's where I get
Let me
irritable and
reconfirm. Yeah, irritable and aggression.
that is where I get irritable and aggressive because I'm like, I get you already have a lot of money. I know that you want more, but what good is it going to do your grandkids when they're dead because it's 135 degrees and that will kill us all?
But you know what's cool? Like I was listening to a podcast last night, um, and they were interviewing the guy who started, oh my God, it's a game, Tetris. Tetris. And this guy, I mean, his story was so fascinating and how the gaming industry worked, especially in like the 1980s, 90s, and attaining the rights. But the reason I'm bringing it up is he ended up selling Tetris to Nintendo for like an incredible amount of money. Like he's set for life basically. And but his number one thing, he's like, I realized, because he had a heart attack not long after he sold. And he said, I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought is like, I have so much more I want to do. And I haven't even spent the money I have. Like I just finally got all this money. And the number one thing he wants to work on is climate change. And his whole thing was like, if we don't have a planet, none of this matters.
Mm-mm.
So I do think that there are some good doobies out there who are multi-millionaires or billionaires even,
Oh,
who are
absolutely.
trying to do what they can. I mean, even as much as I dislike Elon Musk, I mean, Tesla, I've heard interviews with him before he seemed to like lose his mind, where he was like, look, there needs to be an alternative. Like we
Yeah.
cannot be dependent on fossil fuels. We cannot be dependent on oil and gas. And even though the technology wasn't his, it was, Nikolai Tesla,
Hmm.
recognized that there was a need to bring it back.
Yeah, I agree. And Tesla was the first car company that made a stir about it. I'm not saying they're the first car company that came up with, electric cars, but they were the first ones that you heard about that made the biggest push about it. And and good
Yeah.
for them. And
Yeah.
yes, I want to reward those positive changes that
Yeah.
people are making. Absolutely. And I don't think, I mean, I don't believe it's the amount of money, because most of Trump supporters, like the vocal crazy ones, are poor people, really, compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's the amount of money. I think it's the type of person, right? And this is why I don't understand, why is it, I mean, like, it's little tiny changes. Why is it such a volatile conversation to bring your own shopping bag to the grocery store? I mean, like, why is that a battle? Like, I understand why abortion is a battle. I fully understand why it's a battle, right? My a recyclable shopping bag, I don't get what the problem is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
Um,
think it really is an issue for most people, genuinely speaking.
oh,
Like,
right.
I do think there's those few, but yeah, I don't think most people are like, I mean, yeah, you may forget it, but I don't think it's like an intentional.
Oh no,
But I mean,
I have had massive. I try not to argue, but I have had, because I only bring my own shopping bags, and if I forget my own shopping bag, I don't get a bag. There's no bag. Don't give me a bag. I will put everything back in this cart, because there are shopping bags in my car, right?
oh,
So I can
well,
roll the cart out to the parking lot and put them in my shopping bag. And I have literally been like, I'm polite. I'm like, you know what? I do not want the bag. I don't want the bag. I have bags, because if you order groceries online and they deliver them in the bags.
yeah.
But I have been like, no, I brought my own bag. I don't need it. And I have had people literally be like, it's so stupid that you bring your own bag. And I'm just like, fuck you. I actually did not say fuck you, although I wanted to. But then again, I live in Vegas, so maybe
These
we're
people who are like,
aggressive.
you're
And
stupid for taking your own bag. Like, who are these people?
that's a good question. Who are these people?
You mean like the people that work there, or the
No,
people
the guy
in
behind me in
line?
line. You know what? People are, I told you the number, this may have to go into our Patreon, right? This might be a Patreon moment, but check out our Patreon for this outtake at patreon.com/shower talks. I don't understand that. And I'm like, maybe it is they real overall they're losing control.